You've been consistent, and now we're on part 5 of the AWS Cloud Practitioner series. In this video, we'll break down another important topic: fast, simple, and exam focused. Question 46. An IT company is planning to migrate from an on premises environment to AWS Cloud. Which of the following expense areas would result in cost savings when the company moves to AWS Cloud? Select 2. This question is asking, which costs are avoided or reduced when moving from on premises infrastructure to the cloud? Focus on hardware and facility costs, not staff salaries or software licenses. Options: A. Data center physical security expenditure. B. Computing hardware infrastructure expenditure. C. Developer salary. D. Project manager salary. E. SaaS application license fee. Think of it like moving from owning a house to renting an apartment. You no longer pay for things like yard maintenance or building security, similar to physical security costs in a data center. You don't buy your own servers or networking hardware anymore. AWS provides these, like utilities included in rent. But your staff salaries or software subscriptions don't automatically decrease. So the biggest savings come from infrastructure and security costs that AWS handles for you. The correct option is data center physical security expenditure, computing hardware infrastructure expenditure. The company does not need to spend on computing hardware infrastructure. AWS provides scalable compute, storage, and networking resources. Data center physical security. AWS manages the security of its physical data centers. The expenditure on SaaS application license fees, developer salaries, and project manager salaries remains the same, so these are not cost-saving areas. Remember the 6 main advantages of cloud computing. Reducing infrastructure and facility costs is one of them. These types of questions often appear in exams comparing cloud versus on-premises setups. Question 47. A data analytics company is running a proprietary batch analytics application on AWS and wants to use a storage service which would be accessed by hundreds of EC2 instances simultaneously to append data to existing files. As a cloud practitioner, which AWS service would you suggest for this use case? This question is asking, which AWS storage service allows multiple EC2 instances to access the same file system simultaneously and supports appending data to files? Focus on concurrent access and file-level operations, not just object or block storage. Options: A. Instance store. B. EFS. C. EBS3. Think of storage types like this. EFS, a shared network drive for your EC2 instances. Multiple users can read-write at the same time, perfect for batch analytics or shared logs. EBS, like a single hard drive attached to one computer. Only one EC2 instance can use it at a time. Instance store, temporary local storage on the server. Disappears when the instance stops. Not shared. S3, object storage. Great for storing files, but you cannot append to existing objects like you would with a file system. So, for concurrent read-write access by multiple EC2 instances, EFS is the correct choice. Correct option: EFFS. Amazon EFS Elastic File System is a file storage service for use with Amazon EC2. Provides a file system interface and concurrent access for thousands of EC2 instances. Uses the Network File System (NFS) protocol. Ideal for workloads where multiple instances need to read and write files simultaneously. Incorrect options: EBS, high performance block storage, but cannot be shared across multiple EC2 instances simultaneously. Instance store, temporary storage physically attached to the instance, not shared, and data is lost when the instance stops. S3, object storage, does not support file append operations, so it's unsuitable for this use case. Question 48. Which security service of AWS is enabled for all AWS customers by default at no additional cost? This question is asking, which AWS security service is automatically active for all accounts without extra charges? Focus on services that protect your resources by default versus optional paid security tools. Options: A. AWS Shield Advanced. B. AWS Web Application Firewall. C. AWS Shield Standard. D. AWS Secrets Manager. Think of it like basic home security versus premium security subscriptions. AWS Shield Standard comes free with your account, like a basic security alarm automatically installed. AWS Shield Advanced, premium protection for bigger attacks, requires payment. AWS WAF, you set up rules to filter web traffic, costs extra. AWS Secrets Manager manages secrets securely, also a paid service. So if the exam asks which free and automatically enabled security service protects you, the answer is Shield Standard. Correct option: AWS Shield Standard. AWS Shield Standard defends against most common, frequently occurring network and transport layer DDoS attacks that target your website or applications. It helps protect all AWS customers by default at no additional cost. Protection improves if used with Amazon CloudFront or Route 53. Incorrect options. AWS WAF, paid service that lets you create rules to filter HTTPS requests, not free. AWS Secrets Manager, paid service for securely managing credentials and secrets. AWS Shield Advanced, paid service offering intelligent DDoS detection and mitigation at layers 3, 4, and 7. Question 49. A medical research startup wants to understand the compliance of AWS services concerning HIPAA guidelines. Which AWS service can be used to review the HIPAA compliance and governance-related documents on AWS? This question is asking, which AWS service provides official compliance documentation, agreements, and reports for regulations like HIPAA? Focus on services that give audit-ready compliance information, not operational tools. Options: A, AWS Artifact; B, AWS Trusted Advisor; C, AWS Systems Manager; D, AWS Secrets Manager. Think of AWS Artifact like a library of official certificates and compliance documents. For example, if your medical startup needs proof that AWS meets HIPAA requirements, you go to Artifact to download the Business Associate Addendum, BAA. Other services like Trusted Advisor or Systems Manager help manage and optimize resources, but they do not provide compliance reports. Correct option: AWS Artifact. AWS Artifact is the central self-service portal for accessing AWS compliance-related information. Key points: provides on-demand access to AWS's security and compliance reports and select online agreements. Reports include SOC reports, PCI reports, and certifications across geographies and compliance areas. For HIPAA compliance, customers can access the Business Associate Addendum, BAA, through Artifact. It is not a service that manages resources, but a no-cost portal to get compliance documentation. Incorrect options. AWS Trusted Advisor provides real-time guidance for optimizing AWS resources, does not provide compliance reports. AWS Systems Manager helps monitor, manage, and automate AWS infrastructure operations, not used for compliance documentation. AWS Secrets Manager manages sensitive data like database credentials and API keys, unrelated to compliance reporting. Question 50. The DevOps team at an e-commerce company is trying to debug performance issues for its serverless application built using a microservices architecture. As a cloud practitioner, which AWS service would you recommend addressing this use case? This question is asking, which AWS service helps analyze and debug performance issues in serverless or distributed applications? Focus on tools that provide end-to-end visibility into microservices rather than infrastructure provisioning or marketing analytics. Options: A, AWS Cloud Formation; B, AWS Trusted Advisor; C, AWS X-Ray; D, Amazon Pinpoint. Think of your microservices application as a complex highway system. Traffic, requests, flows through multiple roads, services. If a jam, performance issue, occurs, you need a detailed traffic map to find which road or intersection is causing the delay. AWS X-Ray provides the map, tracing requests across microservices to spot bottlenecks. Cloud Formation helps build the highway but doesn't monitor traffic. Trusted Advisor suggests infrastructure improvements but doesn't trace requests. Amazon Pinpoint measures customer engagement unrelated to debugging services. Correct option: AWS X-Ray. AWS X-Ray allows you to analyze and debug serverless and distributed applications such as microservices architectures. It provides end-to-end tracing, helping you understand how your application and its underlying services are performing. X-Ray helps identify and troubleshoot root causes of performance issues and errors, giving you actionable insights. Incorrect options: AWS Trusted Advisor provides recommendations for cost optimization, security, fault tolerance, service limits, and performance improvements, but cannot trace requests in microservices. Amazon Pinpoint captures customer usage data for marketing insights, not for debugging applications. AWS Cloud Formation, infrastructure as code tool for provisioning resources, does not help debug performance issues. Great work finishing part 5. Don't forget to grab your free PDF and mock test from the description. Subscribe so you don't miss part 6. We're getting closer to exam day success. See you in the next one.